Hey stars, it's me, Short Star, and I'm back. I hope you guys are having a great week going on. We're in the middle of the week. You only got a few more days left, so hold on. And I'm drinking my regular ginger lemon tea. Um, However, I really need to be drinking something stronger, like a straight martini, something like a very strong something. For the stories that I'm about to get in with you, I need a little stronger, but I'm gonna stick to my tea. God is good. Okay, so my first story, okay, we're gonna talk about a very smart young girl. I'm gonna just tell you the story and let's get into it because this story is get into it. I hope y'all got some a tea and snack for this one because this one is a little. Let's go. Okay, so this little girl I'm about to show you, this is the little girl we're talking about, so you can keep her in mind. And this is her mom and her dad. Okay, they weren't married, but they are a couple. Keep that in mind. Mom and dad are not married, but they are a couple. Okay, so little girl, 10 years old, played dead while man killed her family and FaceTime with woman who allegedly ordered rampage. Okay, little girl played dead while this man killed her family, and FaceTime the woman who ordered the murders right there in the house. Okay? All right, so we're gonna get back to the pictures later. Let's talk about this. Okay. Now, picture this mother, father, three kids, a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a baby that's under one, I would assume, under one. Okay? Now they have a fourth child, which is a son, but he's not home at the time. So right now we're going to talk about the 10-year-old, the 6-year-old, and the baby that's under one. Okay? So a Texas man who murdered a Houston couple and their 6-year-old daughter entered a guilty plea to capital murder charges just moments after his criminal trial got underway this week. Okay? Now, the man that allegedly did these hits, but he pleaded guilty, so I don't have to say allegedly. Xavier Davis, 32 years old, right? He confessed of the killings of Gregory Carhe, which is the father, who was 35, and Danyamba Legway, who was 29, which was the mom, and the couple's 6-year-old daughter, okay, whose name was Harmony. And this happened, you know, this actually happened in June 30th, okay? So let's get into this. So Xavier Davis, who's 32, at the time forced his way into the family's apartment, right? He shot the father, he shot the mother, and he shot the 6-year-old child in the head, okay? Then he shot the 10-year-old child, but she didn't die. She played dead, played dead. Now, I ain't never been shot, and I don't know how many of y'all have been shot, right? But I would assume that it's very, very painful, especially for a 10-year-old little girl. And for her to play dead and stay still, for this man to believe that she's actually deceased, incredible. Okay, so I'm going to go with the story. Okay, so after he shoots the 10-year-old, remind you, there's a baby under one. He does not harm that baby because I'm sure he's assuming it's a baby. The baby can't talk, baby can't do nothing. You know what I mean? So he, thank God, left the baby alive. So at this point, he believed he's killed the mother, the father, the 6-year-old daughter, and the 10-year-old daughter. He then pulls out his phone and FaceTimes the woman who ordered the hits right there while he's there to tell her, oh, it's done. Just letting you know it's done, whatever. The little girl is on the floor pretending to be dead, playing dead, listening, and she, of course, can see him, so she knows what he looks like. Because at this point, he thinks everybody's dead except the baby. So after he talks on FaceTime and the little girl hears his conversation with the woman, because they're on FaceTime, she can hear the woman's voice and what's being said. Okay. After that, Xavier just leaves the house. She waits a few seconds and then she gets up and runs to the front door and locks the door just in case she felt he would come back. Then she picked up the phone to call her other family members to tell them what happened. And also, she went to go check on her brother that's under 1 year old. This little girl is 10. Okay. It says the 10-year-old girl later rushed to protect her baby brother and call family members for help once the killer had left the residence. So she played dead. She waited for him to leave. She ran and locked the door behind her. Picked up a phone, started calling family members to tell them what had happened, and she's checking on her little brother who's under 1 year old. Now, that's three children. They do, like I said, have an 8-year-old son who was not at home at the time. And only to find out that the mother had just found out the day before she was pregnant with her fifth child, their fifth child. Okay? So I don't think that the police ever put out that the little girl, 10-year-old little girl, was alive. I think they hit her. And why I say that is because the guy had pleaded not guilty. Originally, Xavier Davis pleaded not guilty. He said he didn't do it. But he didn't know that there was a witness left alive, the 10-year-old daughter. So the first day of his trial, they walked the little girl in. He immediately enters a guilty plea to capital murder charges just minutes after his trial started. He saw the little girl, and he knew she saw him. She knew that she heard him on the phone, on FaceTime, talking to another woman who ordered it. And I know that a lot of y'all guys are going to say, well, the father was probably cheating and the woman, whatever. Because you remember, there's a woman that ordered this. He went on FaceTime right there to FaceTime the woman who ordered this hit to tell her it was done and whatever. Well, y'all ready for this one? That's the mother's ex-girlfriend. The woman that ordered the hit on the family is the woman that was pregnant with her fifth child, her ex-girlfriend. Apparently, she had a double life. She had a man and she had a girl. And I think maybe they said that she had just found out that she was pregnant with their fifth child. So, I mean, maybe she left the girl and went back to her husband, or never left her husband and continued to build their family. So it was her girlfriend, the mother's girlfriend. Yeah, same-sex relationship, clearly. So y'all sitting there puzzled and gagging. Yeah, her girlfriend ordered the hit. She wanted everybody dead. And I guess she didn't know that the son wasn't there at the time. So he was the one that definitely was not at the house. So this little girl was shot. I don't know where she was shot at, but she played dead. And she did everything that she should have done. She understood her assignment and she kept it pushing, because the first thing she did was that most of us wouldn't have thought of was to run to the door and lock it. Because at that time, we think he's gone and we're just trying to get help. Because remember, we're shot too. We just witnessed our family being pop out, and we pop out too. So she went and locked the door. Then she picked up a phone to start dialing her grandmother, whomever. They said family. And then to check on her brother that I assume is crying in a room somewhere, because he's hearing these noises and the screams and the gunshots and pow pow. So I'm sure he's crying. She goes to attend to him. Listen, brave little girl, beautiful little girl. I again would, she understood the assignment, point blank, period. Okay. Now, we're going to move on to this story, which I thought was a little weird, right? Only because of the name that is attached to. I figured we hear the name every day anyway, so I figured people would have jumped on this too, but I guess not. Okay, so this is involving, or the name of Trump. International hotels in Las Vegas. Okay? Trump. Donald Trump checks. You know, when Nene was like, I was cashing checks. Trump checks. Child. Anywho. Okay. So woman dies after being violently ejected from revolving door at Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Okay. So I figured that somebody would have picked it up, but I had to actually search for this. That's why I know. I be searching for some stories that y'all haven't heard of. I'm telling you, I really do. Okay? And I ain't gonna tell you my secret, but I'll be searching. Anywho, so we're gonna talk about this because, like I said, I thought because it had the Trump name that it would have been picked up somewhere. Somebody would have been talking about it. Okay, but they weren't. A woman's family claims. Well, no. Let me start even before I even start that. Okay, where we at? We're gonna do this. A wrongful death lawsuit alleges that Diana Trusker, I believe that's her last name, Trusker. She's 78 years old. Well, she was 78 years old. Passed away due to injuries she sustained after she attempted to exit the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. Okay, so remember, she's 78. Just remember, Diana is 78 years old. A woman's family claims that she passed away after being ejected from a revolving door at Trump International in Las Vegas. A wrongful death lawsuit was filed against the Trump International Hotel in Clark County District Court on Tuesday, March 18th, on behalf of San Francisco Bay Area, California resident Diana. We're gonna just call her Diana. I'm not gonna mess up the woman's name, but yes, they filed. The family filed it on the behalf. She's apparently from San Francisco, okay, the Bay Area. The complaint alleges that Diana, 78, died due to injuries she sustained after she was violently ejected from a malfunctioning revolving door at Trump International, and that hotel employees knew the door was not working properly and that the property didn't comply with safety regulations. Now, before I get into the story, I'm about to tell you a little embarrassing little tidbit on me. The same thing happened to me. I ain't lying to you. Look, I'll tell you the story when I finish this one. I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. So this is absolutely possible. Being violently tossed out of a revolving door. Yeah. And to be 78. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna talk about this. On March 21st, Diana was visiting the hotel when she was struck by the revolving door after it sped up behind her and caused her to fall forward onto her face, the complaint claims. She was then taken to a nearby hospital where she received extensive medical treatment. Now they do not say what extensive medical treatment that Diana received. I don't know if she had a concussion, was her head split open. I don't know. They just said that it thrust forward, pushing her out violently onto the pavement face first. That's what we know. They state that she had extensive medical treatment. Okay. Well, Diana passed away on October 14th, 2024, due to complications from her injuries after her health continued to deteriorate, the complaint alleges. After what happened to her, they said she never really was herself ever again. Like she just became, her health just, and mind you, she's 78. Okay. Now, so they're filing a suit against Trump International. Okay. Now, let me tell you what happened to me, man. Child, sorry. Listen. This happened about maybe 7 years ago or so. I was working in New York. And my firm was on 43rd Street, right there in Times Square, like right there, the same building where the morning show is filmed, with the big glass window and everybody's looking in as they perform. Same building, but that was their part. We would go into a different, the buildings were connected. I'll go into a different entrance. And my entrance is right there on 43rd, right there in Times Square. Okay. So mind you, picture this. It snowed that morning. So I had on some high Timberland boots, which are called 40 belows. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm not being funny. 40 belows. They're high brown ones, popping, right? Had them on. And I'm leaving the office. About this happens, and mind you, it's about between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. So Times Square is popping. The sun is out, but it has snowed. So now they have put all that those thick pebbles of rock salt everywhere. It's just messy. But the sun has come out. People are out there. It's on and popping. Times Square. Okay. I go past, get off the elevator, past security, go in. The revolving door is moving slow. I step in, not knowing that because I have on this high boot. I didn't know this then. I found this out later, but I'm just going to tell you, it has a lot of epaulets on these boots. And the lace, and the last epaulette, if you notice, the other ones went through, but then the last one, you kind of wrap it around and you tie it. Well, the string had somehow gotten loose. So when I stepped into the thing and the revolving thing is moving slower, it caught the string from my boot, which I didn't know at the time. So I'm standing in one place waiting to go. And I guess with the string being caught, the door kind of jammed and it's trying to get through. The string is stuck. And eventually the force pushes and it pops the lace, which I didn't know. This all happened so fast. Pop the lace. Baby, when it popped the lace, the door had been trying to push. It was slower trying to go. It let loose on me. Baby, that door hit me viciously. That door hit me like I owe her money. Like they did not want me to come back to that job the next day ever. Like that door wore me out. It hit me, pushed me out, flying. I flew. I did. My feet left the ground into the air and onto the pavement right in Times Square on 43rd, right there on the face first. Well, hands first. And mind you, they don't put rock salt, that thick rock salt, because it has snow, and I'm sliding through that. And people they pretty much stepping over me. It's Times Square. They don't care. Stepping over me, I'm gagging. I'm embarrassed. I get up. I'm mad. I'm looking at my hands, looking at my clothes. I do notice that as I'm like getting myself together, my hands are scraped up from sliding across the thing. Your clothes. And everybody know how I am about my clothes. So my boot, it was all right. I was more concerned about my boot. And I was like, okay. I did notice that the string, it took the whole epaulette. The whole epaulette was gone. That you wrap around out. The door from the power from the door just ripped the whole thing out the boot. It didn't rip the boot bag or anything. It just ripped the epaulette from where it was completely. So I'm just telling you, this is possible. I gagged. It had me on face front. Boom, go home. As I'm walking to the train on 34th Street, because I live in Jersey, I realized that my boot laces popped and stuff like that. Not knowing what exactly happened to me right now, the door just violently pushed me out on face first on the street. Next day I come to work. As I'm walking into the building, security's at the desk. They kind of giggling. And one of them says to me, I saw your video from yesterday. And I was like, yeah, because that door, I started beefing. He was like, no. What happened was, he said, I can show you the video. Your shoestring from your boot got caught when the door was going around and it popped. And when it popped, the force of the door trying to push forward and me trying to go forward, the door just went forward and pushed me out. And it pushed me out. But I went in the air. I didn't even look at the video. I ain't even gonna hold you because I didn't want to see it. But I already went through it. I knew. So needless to say, I couldn't sue or do anything because it was me. They never want to take responsibility. Trust me. When that security guard mentioned that I was out there on the floor and it pushed me out, they immediately went to the videotapes. They want to see because they want to know if they liable. They want to know if they liable at that point. Okay? So, boom. So that's what happened. So this woman, she's 78. They said that she passed away because of her injuries, what occurred there. So, yeah. So they filed the suit. It has to go to court, and they have to figure that out. And yeah. But I just wanted to let y'all know it is very much possible. Don't play. Don't play with it. Don't think, the doors is horrible. I think, matter of fact, after that, I stopped using a revolving door. I'm being honest with you. I started, because they have side doors that you can but you have to open them. The revolving door, you don't really have to touch too much. It'll move on. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So now I told y'all a little embarrassing. Y'all know. Well, tell me this. So now let's move on to something else and get away from my embarrassment. Okay. Because I was face first. Okay. So I say all that to say, are you guys aware that, we've been talking about Gene Hackman for the past like what month and a half and stuff, and how him, his wife, and his pet, passed away, and they've tried to put the timing and everything so we understand. And it was, she passed away and he passed away a week later, and so at somewhere along that point, their pet passed away because he had just had surgery. So it was a lot going on, and we talked about it. Well, as I'm searching for stories, as I do for you guys, are you aware that it's been like a month and a half and that Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy bodies remain unclaimed more than a month after the shocking deaths? I'm being real with you. I'm telling you, it's been a month and a half. Gene Hackman and his wife's Betty bodies are unclaimed, still unclaimed. I don't know what to say about Gene Hackman's family, because after you get into the story, you realize that he has 3 adult children from a marriage years and years ago. This is his second marriage. His first marriage, he had 3 kids. He has a kid in his 40s, a kid in his 50s, and a kid in his 60s. And mind you, his wife, if I'm not mistaken, was in her 60s. So one of his kids was pretty much the age of his wife. So that might have been a problem too. I don't know. But apparently this family was not a family, because as you read the story and got into the story, they didn't check on their, they said they had some of the, I don't know which one, but they had admitted that they hadn't spoken to their dad. And I wouldn't say parents because that wasn't their mother. And I don't even, I don't know what that situation was, but they hadn't spoken to their dad in months. And I'm like, how do you have a 90, 95-year-old older father alive and you don't check on him at least once a week, if that, like for real? So it kind of made the situation weird. And then when you went into his will, he didn't leave his kids anything. He left everything to his wife or to charity. And it was also, if the wife, in her will, she said that whatever she had would go to charity. So they weren't leaving the kids anything for whatever reason. And I say kids lightly, I mean 40s, 50s, and 60s, his children. He wasn't leaving his children anything for whatever reason. So I'm assuming that they're, I don't know what to say about their relationship, or what relationship at that point. And maybe that's the reason that Gene Hackman and his wife bodies are still unclaimed, meaning no service, no nothing, no burial, no nothing. Can you imagine that? We're talking about Gene Hackman, who had millions of fans. Don't you think he would deserve to at least to have a service or memorial or something? And I can understand maybe they didn't deal with the wife. I mean, I might even have may have understood a little bit if they, not really, but if they claimed their father's body, but then didn't claim the mother, the wives. I mean, I don't know. I think it's all so stupid and petty, because I think respect is due to a dog. And I mean, geez, that is your blood. And and I don't understand why some of Gene Hackman's celebrity friends, because of course I know that you need the family's permission to even claim the bodies, to get the bodies, to do anything with. But I'm surprised that some of his celebrity friends didn't ask the children, his kids, 40s, 50s, and 60s, mind you, listen, claim the bodies and give them to me. Let me do a service for him. Let me, do whatever it is. Because he didn't die a great death. He died kind of, I personally, just allegedly, I think it would be a horrible death. His wife passed away a whole week before him. He was under her care, which means he didn't know where he was most of the time, I'm sure. So for a week after she passed, he had no idea she was even gone a week. That's how out of it he was, I'm assuming, allegedly. That he didn't eat, he didn't drink, he definitely didn't take any medications for all of his ailments. He had a pacemaker, because that's how they figured out his time of death, when the pacemaker stopped working, which means your heart. I don't even know. It's diabolical. I would at least claim Mr. Hackman and his wife and put them together wherever. Everybody deserves that, you know. But to find out that their bodies remain unclaimed is diabolical, crazy. I don't even know how they. I don't know. I would be so even if they didn't love their dad, even if they whatever the relationship was, people know that you're Gene Hackman's children, and they now know that you did not even care enough to claim his body. I would be embarrassed as a person because you're gonna have people that's gonna be like, "What? You did what? Oh, you didn't do what?" Hmm. Okay, so let's move along from that. Okay, so um, I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of the club that roof collapsed in the DR at I believe at 1 o'clock this morning. I don't know what time span the DR is on actually at the moment, but a former NLB player, Octavio Dotto and Tony Blanco dies in Dominican nightclub roof collapse. Okay, so yeah, I'm sure that's all the news have been actually talking about is showing it. And from what I understand, allegedly, that I believe that there were three. Well, first of all, I'm sorry for people that may not even understand. Former MLB, former Major League Baseball players. This player that passed away, one of these players that passed away was played for the Yankees. So I'm not big on baseball, so I don't know. But again, from what I understand, allegedly that there were three MLB players from whatever teams, Major League Baseball players in this club at this time, and apparently, allegedly, from what I heard, the governor of wherever this was actually there in this club, and he also passed away. So that's crazy. So from what I'm understanding so far, and I think the numbers may have gone up since we're talking, 113 people are unalived, and over more than 150 people are injured and in hospitals. And then there are people that are still under the rubble that's unaccounted for. So that right there is almost giving me 300 people at that point. I don't know how much room, how big this place was or whatever. I heard it was one of their upper clubs. So because apparently singer Ruby Perez, um, she's a singer. She's a big thing in the DR, and she was performing at the time that this happened, I believe, allegedly, and she passed away. So they lost some big figures in this collapse. So I'm assuming that it was upper class. It looked nice from what I could see, and I looked at the aerial view of around. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that, but my heart goes out to the families and friends and fans because you think you're somewhere having a good time and you never know. I remember watching this show, watching this, it was on YouTube, and it was a club, I believe, in Mexico, and it had a balcony, and it was so many people in a balcony, and the music was pumping. So people were jumping about, and before you knew it, the whole structure just collapsed down. And then I saw something on in the backyard of a house on the deck. And this happened here in the States a lot. But like I said, please, guys, remember when you travel from country to country, everybody has their own rules and regulations. And the standards we have for our buildings to be built and things of the sort, other countries, their standards aren't still the same. And I'm not saying ours is the best either, but I definitely know that when you go to smaller countries with less money, their buildings aren't built as safe as you would think, and you don't know. And that's just how I was telling you guys about the carbon monoxide. Don't depend on these other countries for your safety and for your safety of your family. Take your carbon, and that's what I meant. You go to these places, you don't know how strong these structures are. I don't care if they're new or not. Okay? But nevertheless, I send out my prayers and condolences to the families that's affected and that have had losses. Okay. Now, We're going to stay a little bit in. Did you guys hear about the family? I'm trying to remember what state this was. I don't want to say, but I'll say as I go through the story, I'll figure it out. But this happened here in the States, of course. A family was well, we're gonna read this thing together. How about this? Okay, so let's go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, Sharvis, you can do it. Okay, so I wanted because I had it set up in another way. Okay, horror as entire family falls into grave during funeral with dead man's son trapped under the coffin. Entire family falls into the grave with the coffin. Okay, so we're gonna get to this, and then I'm gonna show. I'm not gonna show you the video because they really do have a video for it, but I do have a still picture that I took from the story, and I'll show you, just giving you an idea of what it looked like. Okay, now pallbearers were sent tumbling into a grave along with the coffin they were carrying after a platform collapsed as they were lowering the casket onto the belts that it takes it down. Okay. Mourners were laying Benjamin Avels to rest after he had died suddenly on March 21st at his home in Philadelphia. Okay. After complications related to heart issues. He was being buried at Greenmount Cemetery on Friday after the funeral and the grave platform collapse was caught on video, which I will not be showing you. Okay? Now, we're going to go down. First, I want to show you a picture of the deceased to give you an idea who we're talking about. Okay? So, let me, because I'm gonna leave you on and then I'm gonna take you down. Okay, so this is Benjamin. This is who the service was for. Now, apparently, he has a junior, his son, which is named the same thing he is. Well, what happened, from what I'm reading, what happened was he apparently, when it collapsed, he fell in the hole first. This is Benjamin Senior. This is who the service was for. Okay. Now, let me continue telling you what I know. The junior Benjamin, apparently, when the thing collapsed, because we've been to funerals where it's plywood and you step on it, and they usually say if you want to put the rolls on the casket or you want to, say your final goodbye, you usually step forward, and you always feel this wood, which is planks of wood that feels not so sturdy. Well, that's what that was. Well, apparently, the junior Benjamin fell when it collapsed. He fell into the grave first, face first, and the casket fell halfway on top of him. And they said that when he hit the ground, he was out. Like when he fell into the hole and face first, he was out. Then the casket came down on top of him at an angle, which I'm going to show you the picture. And then the 6 pallbearers that were carrying the casket started to fall into the hole on top of the casket. Okay, so let me show you that picture and then we can continue with the story. Okay, this is the picture of the collapse. It's a still picture, as you see. Let me see where we at. Okay, can you see my cursor here? Okay. Well, this is the casket. That's the pallbearers. Their legs, they're falling in. You see some ahead right here. And the junior is under this casket. So the casket that's tilted over is on top of the sun. Okay, enough of that. That's crazy. I mean, that has to be so traumatic, seriously, for the family, period. They said because it had rained that the wood was wet and soaked in, so the wood was softer, I'm sure. I don't even know what to say about that. Like what? Because I think we've plenty of us have experience stepping forward, and well, Okay. Okay. It says the pallbearers suffered injuries to their legs, their hands, and their backs. Okay. The worst went to Benjamin, the son. The casket lay on top of him as he was out like a light with his face first in the mud. The family said that the platform was in poor condition and blamed the cemetery and funeral home for the awkward incident. Awkward? That's more than awkward. For 6 to 7 members of your family to fall into the hole with the casket, and one of them happened to be under the casket, which means now you got to bring those people up, then bring the casket up, and to get to the victim that's there with this heavy casket falling down on him. I don't even know. Listen, I don't know. I don't even know if this is the last that we hear of this. But I will keep a lookout on some updates for it. And we're going to go to, now picture this. Okay, so I always like to show you the title because I want you guys to know that I am not making these stories up, because sometimes I have to do some extensive vetting with these stories, because sometimes people get on the internet and make up stories, just make them up, and then you go to report them only to find out they never happened. I don't want to be that person. I want to bring you stuff that you haven't heard before or haven't heard a lot of, but I want it to be truthful, and I want it to be something that you can go behind me and pick up more if you want to know more of the story. You know what I mean? Okay, so this goes like this. This didn't happen in the United States. This happened on a flight to Spain, but it was from Europe to Spain. So, this didn't happen here, but it could. Okay? Well, a couple ordered Pringles, a Coke, and water on their flight. Then they were escorted off the plane by police. Now, I know you say, like, what could they have possibly, what is the problem? Well, it could happen to any of us. Now, listen to this. The couple got on the plane, as we've gotten on plenty of planes, so you can understand. They normally don't take cash anymore. They don't take cash anymore. Everything is a credit card. They swipe it through this little machine they're carrying as they're pushing their thing. Okay, a couple orders Pringles, a Coke, and water. It comes to $9. The woman takes the card, put it into the machine. The machine is not the card is not working in the machine. They're saying, something was happening, and they asked, did they have another card? They said that they didn't have another card. That was the only card they had, and they didn't have cash, even though they don't even accept cash. But they didn't have any cash. They only had the card. Now, at this point, while you're waiting, the Pringles have been opened, the water is being drank, and then you tell me the card ain't working. Well, it's late. Okay, so this has been going. This happened. So I don't know how big deal they made on the plane, but one woman stood up, and another customer, and said that on her flight to this plane, it happened on their plane where the machine wasn't accepting anybody's credit cards. And I don't know how they dealt with that on that plane, but she's letting them know it may be something with your main machine or whatever, because on the flight here to get on this flight, it happened. Okay, so then another woman got up and said, well, she knew that it happened to her before, only because when you're going from country to country, you really are supposed to inform your banking institution that you're leaving, so that they'll know where you are. Meaning, when charged, for instance, me, when I leave the country, I tell them where I'm going, and I try to give them as close a dates as I'll be there. So that way, when I'm using my credit cards, they know it's me. I live in New Jersey. It's weird if charges are coming up in England or in Paris, and then they don't. I have never told them I was going there. Not that I have to, but they'll deny the charges. And the woman, that's what she stated. She had left one country, went to another without informing her bank. So when the charges came up, when people tried to charge stuff for it, they denied it because they weren't sure. And because she's 30 to 40,000 feet in the air, if her bank is trying to call her to verify the charges, she won't get that until she gets back to the ground. You know what I mean? So they were trying to explain to the attendants that, this is happening and this could happen. They weren't hearing any of it. So apparently they threatened them and told them that they would be arrested when they land in Spain. They thought it was a joke. They was like, really, arrested for $9? Da, 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 da. Well, when they landed in Spain, Police were waiting, came on, handcuffed them, and took them off the plane. The flight attendants claimed that it was like theft. They stole and they want to pay and this, that, and the third. So I'm just letting you know. Let your banking institutions know when you're traveling from place to place. You don't want this to happen to you because it could happen to anybody for whatever reason. And it depends on where you're flying to or where you're going. They consider that as theft and can arrest you for it. $9? Like, really? So, again, I wanted you guys to be aware of that story because I thought that was a wild one. I was like, wow, wowzers. Okay. Well, from what I'm seeing, I'm actually, I don't know which story I want to show you next. You know what? I'm going to stay online. Okay. So there's a family. They're going to the Bahamas on vacation. Bahamas, right outside. People say Bahamas ain't nowhere. Miami, Florida, the Bahamas is like, it's not far at all. Okay. Well, let's get into this. An American man on a Bahamas family vacation found unalive after leaving dinner to get a jacket. Okay. So a family is at dinner and the son says that he's cold. And he says, I'm going to go back to the room and get a jacket, and was never heard from again. Okay. So this is how this story goes. An American man who briefly disappeared during a vacation to the Bahamas with his parents was found unalived on a beach the next morning, according to authorities and family. They believe his death is suspicious. After authorities found 23-year-old Denari McAltman of Maryland. This is a Maryland family. Unalived on Paradise Island in Nassau on April 6th. Now, today is April 9th. So that was 3 days ago, just 12 hours after he landed on the Caribbean island with his parents. Okay? The parents are saying that they're traumatized after identifying their son's remains. And they said allegedly he appeared to be beaten. And that's why I stated and said it twice. His death is suspicious. Suspicious? What's suspicious about a man leaving an restaurant to go get a jacket and end up unalived on the beach the next morning, and signs of him being beaten, which means murder? So, the Bahamas is a different country, but come on. It looks suspicious? Okay. So, again, this just happened a few days ago. They're investigating. The parents said that they were at dinner. Again, they had robbed on the island 12 hours before. They were at dinner. The son complained that he was, the temperature, it gets cooler. I don't care where you are, Mexico, Jamaica, it gets cool at night sometimes. And he said he was cool and he needed a jacket. And he supposed to went back to his room to get a jacket. Never was heard from again. The parents said that they have on their phones, that they have each other's locations, and they couldn't find him through his. So I don't know what's up with that. And again, she reported to security that he left dinner and they haven't seen him and nothing. And they found him unalived on the beach the next morning. So I don't know. I guess I'm sure they're investigating, and I'm sure there's still more to hear about that. Now, okay. Are you guys aware of Anthony Edwards? And Anthony Edwards plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Now, it says ex-partner. So he has an ex-partner named Aisha Howard. Now, keep this in mind. I've come across a few stories where it's like these only like 15 women seem to be in Hollywood or around celebrities or around that type of money. Because it seems I've come across, I think this may be the third, not sure, but definitely the second or the third young woman who has babies by two separate celebrities. You know what I mean? I believe that Bow Wow has a baby by I don't want to say future because I'm not sure allegedly, but I believe they have. I don't know. I don't know one of them, but they both have kids by the same baby mother. Bow Wow and another celebrity. Boom. Now this particular Anthony Edwards apparently it says ex partner, so I would think that this wasn't a one night stand or anything. That they were together, and apparently she became pregnant and he told her he did not want any kids and advised her to get an abortion. Okay. Apparently she decided not to, and she wound up having a daughter, which name is Aubrey Summers. Okay, so she had the kid. Of course, he requested DNA and all of that, which come back to find out that he was the baby's father. He is Aubrey Summers' father. When he so seriously didn't want kids, like real gangster with it, he decided to pay her $1 million at one time instead of paying child support for the next 18 years. That means he don't want anything to do with you or that baby. For him to pay you $1 million to cover all child support for the next 18 years, he don't want to hear nothing from you. How gangster is that? That's crazy. Now, I think the only person that's the loser in this is really the daughter, because she didn't ask to be here. And this is something that you guys, regardless if you wanted her to get rid of it and she didn't, that's her decision, point blank, period. But for you to be diabolical and say, you know what, I'm gonna give you $1 million so I don't have to hear from you. I don't have to see you. Don't call me. You got everything you need. Now, I don't personally think $1 million would have been enough for me to sign some paperwork like that, only because we're talking about a child. We're talking about a baby. He does work. I mean, he is a pro ball player. So my daughter would need health insurance. I'm sure she'll go to private school because, again, come to find out, Aisha Howard also has a baby, a son by Little Baby, if I'm not mistaken. Little Baby. She has a son by Little Baby. So now she has a daughter by Anthony Edwards. So this is what I'm saying. You have these, it's like everybody's messing with the same girls. Like they acting like it's like 15 real girls out there and everybody's just going back and forth and up and down. It's weird. It's weird. And I understand when you run in certain circles, that is what your surrounding is. So of course, more than likely, if you're not around anything but celebrities, then apparently your baby daddy might be a celebrity, or your baby mama might be a celebrity because that's who you're around. That's the element. I get that, but it's different when you have one girl with a baby by one rapper, and then got a baby by a basketball player. Like, damn, girl. I mean, I don't look. I ain't got nothing to say about it. It is what it is. But it's a fact. And allegedly, he doesn't want anything to do with it. Well, I'm saying all that to say he went one step further to make sure that he does not have to be bothered with Miss Lady and this baby. Like, you know how you want to take the rights from dads, you know what I mean? And you want to take their rights and you want to, well, baby, Anthony Edwards said, I'm going to beat you to it. Anthony Edwards tells Judge ex Aisha Howard can have sole physical and legal custody of daughter. Okay? Which means he's not only giving you $1 million to leave me alone and don't call me, don't bother me, I don't want to see you. 1 million. He also tells the judge that she can have sole physical and legal custody of their daughter, meaning you don't need nothing from me. You don't need me to agree or disagree. You don't need my permission to do nothing. I'm turning everything over to you. That's crazy. And I feel bad for the daughter because he's like, when he said I didn't want a kid or another kid, he meant it. You don't mean it more than that. To the point where you paid him $1 million straight up. Don't call me for 18. Don't call me. Here. And also go to court to relinquish all your rights, pretty much. to delinquish all your rights. You like, I don't even want rights. Don't think that you have to call me for my permission to put her in this school, or if something happens to her and she needs medical, you don't need my permission to do. He completely cut ties. That's crazy. I've never seen it done like that before, to the point where they prepay your child support for the next 18 years. So leave me alone. I don't know what the other stipulation and other stuff was, but $1 million, leave me alone. And then, Judge, please give her all sole physical and legal custody of, I would say, her daughter. I don't even believe he said our daughter, because he ain't acknowledging nothing. Real talk. That's crazy. I mean, when he said, he meant what he said. Mm. Listen, I bring you guys these stories because they're entertaining. They can sometimes take you away from whatever you're going through. And again, my goal is always to bring you new stuff. Of course, we're going to talk about some stuff that's out there. It's what we do. But, however, I want to bring you stuff you never heard, or little parts of the story you never heard. Okay? Listen, I want you guys to be intentional, stay intentional, check on your friends and your family and your loved ones. And until next time, one.